What's up guys, it's Pete here once again for the Gaming Careers YouTube channel, and today we're going to be going through the NVIDIA Shadowplay software, or as it's now known, the NVIDIA GeForce Experience, and specifically within that, the Share function. If you've never heard of the software either by its old name Shadowplay or its new name Experience until today, basically what it does is it allows you to record your gameplay through a number of different functions without actually using too much of your CPU, as all of the encoding is done on the GPU instead. In this tutorial we're going to be going over the instant replay function, so you can press a hotkey after the action has happened and it will automatically save the last X minutes of gameplay. We're also going to go through manual recording just for your normal videos, as well as being able to record your desktop if you want to use the NVIDIA software for recording tutorials such as this one. So why would you use this software as opposed to something like OBS? Well, for me there's a few reasons as to why I'll choose to use this software to record something. Firstly, it's very easy to use and set up, as I'll show you in this tutorial. Secondly, the quality is very good. You can customize what bitrate you want to record at, and because you're offloading that from your CPU to your GPU, you can actually set a very high bitrate and get some really good quality recordings. Thirdly, you can offload all of the video processing from your CPU onto your GPU, so there is really such minimal impact on the performance of your computer. So if you've ever tried to record gameplay whilst playing and you've noticed drop frames or little bits of input lag, those should go away if you're going to use the NVIDIA software, because you're offloading all of that task from the CPU, so your CPU can concentrate on running your game at a high frame rate. All of this is thanks to some clever technology that NVIDIA have developed. It's called the NVENC Microcontroller, which is a microcontroller that's attached to some of the newer NVIDIA cards. This microcontroller basically allows the GPU to record all of the rendered frames that it's rendering anyway for you to play the game. It can then record them onto one of your hard drives, so the CPU doesn't have to do any of that converting to the H.264 format. Now, there are a few minimal requirements so that you can use the NVIDIA software, so not everybody with an NVIDIA card will be able to use this. If you have one of the newer cards, then you should be in luck. Okay, so what we're going to do firstly is open up the GeForce Experience application. We should open up a window like this showing you all the different games that it has detected you have installed. I'm currently just on my home system back at my parents' house, so I only have a few different games installed, but that's not to matter. We'll still go about setting up the GeForce Experience. So I'm just going to maximize this window so it's a bit clearer for you guys to see. And this is the button up here, this share button. This is the actual application that used to be called Shadowplay. But first we need to make sure that this is enabled. So if you click the settings cog in the top right, you should see down here this box called Share, and you want to make sure that the option is enabled. It's green here. If it's not enabled, it will be grey like that. Just click it again to enable it and it should go green. Now we'll be able to open up the share part of the GeForce Experience. So you can either click the share button up here, or whenever you're in any application and in a game, you can press the key combo, which is defaulting to Alt and Z. So I'm just going to tap that now and you're going to see the GeForce Experience share window open over the top of whatever you have open. It's just quickly worth noting actually that any of the shortcuts and keybinds that I talk about in this video are the defaults, but we'll be able to edit them to whatever you like later on in the video. We're going to be moving through the options here from left to right, but I will have timestamps down in the description below this video, so if you want to skip ahead to a certain section, feel free to click the timestamps in the description to skip ahead in this video. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is the instant replay function, which used to be called Shadowplay. This basically constantly records a buffer of your gameplay, the last X number of minutes, and then when something good happens in game, you hit the key combo, which default is Alt and F10, and it will then save the last X minutes of your gameplay for you to then later edit and upload to YouTube. Once you've saved the last few minutes of your gameplay using the instant replay function, it does allow you to then trim and instantly upload this video to YouTube if you'd like. I would actually recommend putting in a bit more production value to your videos on YouTube, because you want to be providing some quality to your viewers. So what I like to do is I wait until I've got quite a few of these instant replays saved, and then maybe I'll open up an editing suite such as Adobe Premiere Pro or Sony Vegas or Final Cut, something like that, and I'll drag all of the clips that I've recorded over the last week or month and I'll cut them together and maybe add some effects and some music and release that as a video. So it's a little bit better for your viewing experience rather than just one clip from that one game that you played today. I'm also going to quickly plug the Gaming Careers YouTube channel. If you want some more in-depth tutorials on any of those editing suites, Premiere Pro, Sony Vegas, those kind of things, we do have video playlists set up with tutorials on how to use them and how to render and export from them. Right, let's jump into the settings specifically for Instant Replay. So if you click the Instant Replay box and then go down to Customize, you should get this new window. First up is Replay Length. So this is exactly what I said earlier. This allows you to drag and choose how much of the previous gameplay you want to record. So for example, if you have it left on the default, which is 5 minutes, when you hit the key combo, it will then save the previous 5 minutes from when you press the key combo. So feel free to set this to whatever you want. I personally set it to about 2 minutes because the majority of games that I play are quite fast paced. So when I hit the key combo, that's probably after an amazing moment that actually only happened in the last 30 seconds, but I want to have a little bit of wiggle room either side of that. So I'm going to set mine to 2 minutes here, and then we'll move down to quality. Now all the quality presets actually do is change the bitrate down at the bottom. You can see the bitrate moving from something like 15 to 20 to 50 there, and custom obviously allows you to set it to whatever you'd like. The quality presets here don't actually affect the resolution or the frame rate. So I would recommend setting it to custom, and then we can choose exactly what we want to do in the options below. For resolution, I recommend having this on in-game. You can up and down scale the resolution that it records at if you wish to, but I imagine majority of people here are going to be playing at 1080p and wanting to record at 1080p, or maybe playing at 1440 and wanting to record at 1440. So I leave this at my in-game resolution and then let the software decide. Frame rate, you have the choices of 30 or 60. As I've said in many videos now, really the standard for YouTube videos is 1080p and 60 frames per second now, so I'd recommend leaving this at 60. You can drop it to 30 though if you're having any kind of performance issues. So for bitrate, we can select anything from 10 to 130 megabits per second. So you really have quite a lot of customization as to what bitrate you want to record at. Personally, I use 70 megabits per second just purely because I think that's a really good balance between very, very, very high quality, because obviously when you upload to YouTube, eventually it will get compressed anyway. So you really want to start with the highest quality that you can. But I found that anything above 70 really doesn't improve any quality, at least that I can see, and it just takes up more hard drive space. Obviously, if you're having some performance issues or if you have less space on your hard drive, you can lower this down. If you remember from our presets, high actually is 50, medium is 20, and low is 15. So anything really above 50 is considered, at least by NVIDIA, as over high. So I leave this at 70, but feel free to play around and choose whatever you like. Once you're happy with all your settings, it's worth having a quick look at this little stat here. This takes into account the replay length, the resolution, the frame rate, and the bit rate to give you an estimate as to what the file size will be. So this is telling me that if I want to record 2 minutes of my previous gameplay at in-game resolution, which is 1080p, 60 frames per second, and at 70 megabits per second bit rate, it's going to take up roughly 1.1 gigabytes of space. If you change your replay length or any of the other settings, you can see that this changes alongside it. Once you're happy, you can click save, and this will save all of your instant replay settings. So now all you have to do is to turn it on, play a game, and then hit your key combo when something awesome just happened. The next function within the GeForce Experience Share application is the record setting. This is a much more simple and probably what you're used to. Basically, you hit a key combo to start recording and you hit a key combo to stop recording, and anything between those is saved to your hard drive. If we go into the customize options for this, it's exactly the same as the one that we just did for the instant replay. But quickly, I'm just going to show you my settings. I have custom quality, in-game resolution, 60 FPS, and again, 70 megabits per second. Click save to save these. To start recording your gameplay, you can either just click the start button here, or you can hit the key combo, which by default is Alt and F9. The third option from within the GeForce Experience application is the broadcast option. This allows you to stream your gameplay to Twitch or to YouTube. Currently, I wouldn't really recommend using this, as I feel like OBS or XSplit offers a much better experience and far more customization, and you can also still use the NVENC Microcontroller to get the performance benefits from within OBS. But I'll quickly show you the customize options just so you can get familiar with the interface. So as you can see up here, you can choose between Twitch or YouTube. You can set your quality, resolution, frame rate, and your bit rate. But really, in terms of overlays and things like that, you're going to get far better experience by using something dedicated to streaming, such as OBS. Up in the right-hand corner, we have Gallery. This basically opens up a folder of all your recent recordings. From here, you can select a video and trim it, as I talked about earlier, and upload it straight to YouTube. But as I did mention earlier, I think it's much better to take these video files and edit them in a dedicated application such as Sony Vegas or Adobe Premiere Pro. The microphone option allows you to change your microphone settings whilst recording replays. You can set it to push to talk, always on, or off. You can also customize the input device as well as the volume and boost options to get your microphone recording at the right level. Personally though, I recommend leaving this as off and actually recording your audio separately with a program like Audacity. You can then combine the audio from Audacity back with the video from your gameplay in some editing software, and this will allow you to have a bit more control over the levels as well as cut out any mistakes that you made. Maybe you got a really sick gameplay moment, but actually in the voiceover, your dog was barking in the background. And if you had your mic option enabled in the GeForce Experience app, you wouldn't really be able to remove that without also removing the gameplay audio. This way, if you recorded it separately with Audacity, you can lower the levels of your microphone whilst you did the sick moment and your dog was barking, and then combine them together later in the final recording. The camera option just lets you toggle your webcam on or off. And then the settings option brings up lots of different settings that we're going to go through one at a time now. So firstly, in Connect, this is where you can connect your Google, Imager, Twitch and YouTube accounts so that you can instant upload. So Google and Imager is so that you can upload screenshots instantly, and Twitch and YouTube is obviously so that you can go live with your gameplay and also so you can upload any of your highlights. I don't link any of my accounts here, as I've said many times through this video, because I like to actually edit my videos much more than just straight out of the recording. So I will upload to YouTube manually after I've rendered out of Premiere Pro. Next is the overlays option. This allows you to have a few different overlays in corners of your screen. So status indicator, this just shows a little green icon when you're recording live, and this won't show up in your recordings. So it will basically allow you to know when you're recording, just to make sure that you are, but it won't actually show up in your recording. So it's quite a useful overlay to have. You can choose where you want this to be positioned on your screen or if you want it to be switched off. FPS counter is just a useful little counter to show that you're getting a good frame rate. Again, you can choose which corner you would like to have that in or choose it to be off. And viewers is just if you're streaming live on Twitch from the app or YouTube, you can show your view count in the top left, top right, bottom left or bottom right. The next option is keyboard shortcuts. This is where you can customize all of the keyboard shortcuts for recording and broadcasting, activating instant replay. All those kind of things can be customized here. Next up we have recordings. This is just the default location that recordings will be saved in, as well as where temporary files will be recorded. So how I have mine set up is the temporary file is recorded to my SSD, which is a really quick drive, and then once it's finished, it actually gets moved as a full file to my hard drive, which is sort of a 3 terabyte massive drive, so I don't clog up too much of my SSD. Next option is the broadcast option. This is just where you can set where you want to stream to if you want to use the application for streaming, as well as allowing you to add an overlay. But again, I just don't think this is enough customization to warrant it being used over OBS. After broadcast, the next option is gallery. This just allows you to choose what you want to do with screenshots, if you want to just save them to your PC or upload them to Google Photos or Imager. Next we have notifications. This just allows a little slide-in notification, as you've been seeing throughout this video, for when you share your gameplay or when you've saved your instant replay or when you've started or stopped recording. It's just useful really as a little pop-in to make sure that you know that you're recording before you start your gameplay. And the final option is the privacy control. Now this is how you enable desktop capture. So if you want to be able to take screenshots or recordings of your desktop or of Google Chrome or any application that isn't a game, then you want to make sure this is set to yes. If it's set to no, which I think is the default, then you'll only be able to record your gameplay, so any games that it detects are running. And that's it for options. If you've enjoyed the video today, please give it a thumbs up because that really helps us know which kind of videos you guys enjoy. And for the question of the day today, I'm going to be asking which piece of software did you use before using the NVIDIA GeForce Experience software to record your gameplay? I remember in the olden days using things like Fraps and Bandicam, and the quality wasn't very good and the frame rate was even worse. And for a second question of the day, I want to know which feature are you using more often? Are you using that instant replay feature or are you using the manual record? I find myself mixing between the two depending on what kind of video I'm creating. Finally, if you're new here to the Gaming Careers YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe and have a look around at the other videos we've got. Loads of different tutorials on how to grow your YouTube channel in your Twitch audience to turn your gaming passion into a profession. And until next time, peace.